Ayan, good morning, good morning. Mag-mic test lang muna ako ha. Comment 1 if I am loud and clear, if you can hear me, ladies and gentlemen. And reminding yung mga walang sections na nakasulat dyan, encode nyo again yung mga pangalan nyo with your respective sections. Ayan, nakalagay naman sa ating mga screen yan mga kapatid. Include your section always. Unless na isang section lang kayo, pwede. Pero tatlong section kasi tayo, kaya you have to include your section. And again, if you can hear me, comment 1, comment 1, comment 1. Good morning, everyone. Let's just wait for your classmates, okay? A few more minutes. Ayan, so okay, once again, mga kapatid, yung mga walang sections dyan, yung mga nag-encode pa rin ng kanilang mga names without sections. If I'm going to check your papers later on, say we have an activity today and you don't have your section, I'm not going to look for your section, or I'm not going to look for your name. Ha, mga kapatid? Kapag wala kayong section, mas madaling hanapin kasi yung pangalan niyo mag-record ng mga scores. Ganyan. If you have your own section. Okay? I-encode nyo na nga lang yung mga pangalan nyo. I-encode nyo na yung mga sections nyo. Idagdag nyo na rin. Because I guess, yung iba, you know, oh, but others are still joining, so let's wait until that. Ayan. So, wala akong nakikita nag-comment nung one. But anyhow, before we start, comment one if you can hear me or baka blurred yung ating screen. Comment one, comment one. Then we are to start. Ayan, salamat sa mga nag-feedback kagad ng comment 1 nila dyan. So, ayan, we have been waiting enough, I think, for your classmates naman. So, ayan, uulitin ko for the last time, every time you comment your names on attendance check, include your section kapag may mga kasama kayong ibang section, okay? Ayan, para hindi tayo, hindi mahirap hanapin yung mga pangalan. Kasi pag hindi ako sinipag, hindi ko hahanapin yung mga pangalan nyo sa sections. At ngayong prelim, ang dami naming, naasikaso sa ating mga sections. Hindi ako sisipaging hanapin yung mga pangalan nyo, mga sections ninyo. Okay? So, just include your section. Nilagay nyo na yung pangalan nyo, include nyo na rin yung mga sections ninyo, ha? Yan. So, good morning, everyone. Good morning, sections D, H, and L. Yung L dapat is supposed to be Friday ang schedule ninyo. Correct. Pero, walang makakasabay ang section L, ganun. So, per dalawahan, per tatluhan yung sections kasi na ginagawa natin para minsanan lang tayo. Yan. So, but anyhow, this will be our live online discussion this week. Yung susunod dito, kasi dalawang beses tayo nag-meet. Baka nagtataka kayo, bakit minsan ko lang kayo mini-meet? Yung isang day na mag-meet tayo is for our offline. Ayan. So, pre-recorded yan. Parang free time also, or it's a time to do your activity or review your subject under LEA 2. So, okay, let's go to globalization. Every time I speak fast, kapag masyado na mabilis, nagpartaka, agsasao, kakabsat, i-comment nyo lang tayo comment box. Mampakin inayad, mambasit. Okay? Or, ma'am, han may mga tayo boses, pakipigpig sa basit, kas dry. When, han ka igbabaino kung comment ko ito kakasta, because this is for us. This is me learning, this is you learning. So, globalization, ladies and gentlemen, after yung mga discussions natin nung, balik tayo konti ha, nung ating mga comparison ng fundamental concepts of police service and also yung theories, the two theories, fundamental theories of police service. Ganyan. And also where the police or policing word came from. I hope you watched the pre-recorded video. So, that was our past lessons. Sana naintindihan ninyo yun. Wala kasi ako nakita ng questions. Sabi ko mag-question sa comment box. Wala naman ako nakita. So for today, for this week, we will start our discussion on globalization. What is globalization? And is it related to criminal justice? Is it related to law enforcement? Or is it related to policy or police services? Ganon. So globalization, isa lang yung kinuha kong definition. Although, globalization is a very wide topic. It's a very huge topic. Ayan. Kukulangin yung isang semester para sa atin just to discuss globalization. So, but anyhow, globalization is defined as reference to a world where there is society, there's culture, there's politics, there is economics that are interlinked with one another or that has relationship with one another. Ayan. So, may relasyon ang society sa culture, sa politics, and sa economics. Yan ang definition ng globalization. And this does not happen only in one country or one place. This is a relationship between the societies of more than two countries, relationship of culture, relationship of politics, relationship of economics, and relationship also of law enforcement. Kasi idadagdag natin yung ating lesson. Law enforcement with other countries. Ganyan. So, globalization is very much observed or it happens every day. Yeah. As to personal definition ng globalization, this is actually quote-unquote development or forward. Ganyan, ng mga bansa. Pagde-develop ng mga bansa through a lot of things. Like for example, communication, technology, mga ganon. So, globalization is linked also to crime because kapag nangyayari yung globalization or let's say for example yung development, nangyayari din yung crime. Sumasama yung crime. That is why related ang crime or criminal justice sa globalization. Yan. So, walang questions dito sa globalization. And again, I will check every time yung ating comment box ha. Baka meron kayong question. And globalization has negative effects. O kaka-define lang natin ng globalization, negative effects agad. But anyhow, ito kasi yung mga i-discuss and i-compare natin later on. So, negative effects ng globalization. Why is globalization, something bad, something of bad? Hindi ba? This is development. It should be positive. So, let's take first yung mga negative effects dito in relation to our lessons. White-collar crimes and labor exploitation. Yung white-collar crimes na tinatawag is yung crimes committed by those on the job. Like for example, I'm working for the government and I'm doing crimes. Sumasabay ako sa pagde-develop ng government. That is one example of white-collar crimes. At marami yan sa ngayon ng government natin. Yung mga quote-unquote corrupt ng mga nagtatrabaho. And labor exploitation. One example of this labor exploitation is, halimbawa, nag-mass hiring ang isang company. That is very nice and that is part of global development or globalization. Kasi nag-mass hiring sila. Pero underpaid naman, wala namang benefits yung kanilang mga employees. Ganyan. That is one form of labor exploitation. And that is a negative effect. And also yung job insecurity or yung unstableness, instability, mga ganun. This actually happened during the pandemic or during the start of pandemic. Nag-start na rin yung mga ganito. Wala nang security yung trabaho, maraming nawalan ng trabaho. And of course, sabi dito, due to increased competition, this is actually very good kapag merong increased competition sa trabaho. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin, kapag nag-increase yung competition, nag-i-increase yung kaalaman ng mga employees. Let's take, for example, our generation. Yung generation ng mga young ngayon na naghahanap ng trabaho, mas equipped sila, mas techy sila ng mga tao. Mas may alam sila tungkol sa technology, sa communication, sa mga search engines, kumbaga, as compared to those na mga mas older. Diba? Mas may alam silang kaalaman or mas advanced yung kanilang kaalaman. And then, yung mga ganun, yung mga older, ngayon, para silang nawawalan sila ng job security. Dahil napapalitan sila ng mga mas advanced na tao. Ganun. And then, yung international crimes natin like human trafficking. Human trafficking nangyayari yan kapag may mga needs yung ibang bansa na hindi mapupunan ng mga regular people. Let's take, for example, Europe. Nangangailangan sila ng maraming workers. But that is very good kapag nangangailangan sila. Ibig sabihin, there are a lot of chance of jobs or employment. Pero kasi yung ibang tao, they don't have papers, they don't have the right education, di ba? And they cannot travel, mga ganon. So ginagawa ngayon itong human trafficking or the illegal entries of a lot of people. And this is actually done by a lot of organized crimes. Maraming may hawak na sindikato kapag tina-traffic na nila yung human beings. Tina-transport nila sa ibang places just to work. And then, negative effect, world terrorism. Parang yung sinelebrate or parang, hindi naman sinelebrate, kinememorate September 11 or the 9/11. That is a negative effect of globalization. Yan. So, tumaas nga yung kaalaman natin regarding technology, pero ginamit naman yan for world terrorism when they brought down the Twin Towers in the United States. Ayan. Cybercrimes. Ayan. Alam ko namang alam niyo yung mga cybercrimes. Very simple lang yung example natin dyan. Yung paghahack. Ayan, di ba? Parang nagiging technologically advanced tayo na may Twitter, may, Facebook is everywhere now. So, may Twitter, meron tayong others like Kumu, ZikTalk, DingTalk, ganyan. Yun kasi yung ginagamit namin when studying, overseas. But anyhow, yung cybercrime na yan, ay yung pag-develop ng technology na yan, ginagamit yan to use cybercrime. Ganyan. And drug trafficking, which is a very old problem ng globalization. Kapag may pag may development, andyan yung drug trafficking sumasama. And human rights violation on global scale, it means This simply means it's everywhere in the world. It's worldwide happening. Ayan. Yung, for example, again, babalik tayo sa nag-open, like for example, ang borders ng States and Canada or Europe for that matter para mass hiring ng iba't ibang employees. Hindi lang sa mga katulong ha or sa mga DH. Mass hiring din sila. For example, yung security guards and other jobs for that matter. Pero yung human rights violation naman is nakikita kapag nakapag-hire na sila. Yung maltreatment, very simple yan na style, example, ang human rights violation. And this does not really happen lang sa isang bansa. O Hong Kong, di ba? Sa Middle East, marami tayong nababalitaan na yung mga kababayan natin are, experiencing this human rights violation. Eh maganda na sana yun kasi for the economy yung pagpunta nila doon. Pero yun lang, negative effect ulit. I am having trouble with my throat right now. I don't know why. But anyhow, and one more negative effect, yung bad effects of foreign culture sa ating local culture. Ayan. Yung, let's say for example, kapag kayo ay maka-Korean, hindi ako maka-Korean masyado. Although I read also about these things. Like for example, yung BTS, they have a global effect. 'Di ba? Lalo na sa mga generation ninyo ngayon or sa mga age ninyo ngayon. And marami akong pamangkin na sobrang, ayan, gusto na siguro magmukhang mga Koreano and that is bad effect. Alam mo yun? But anyhow, that is very nice because that is actually sharing of culture sana. Pero yun kasi meron yung iba na kinakain ng sistema ng ibang culture. Ayan, yun sinasabi ko yung BTS. Marami na yung gusto na lang BTS yung pinapakinggan. Ganon. Gusto na lang, gustong i-practice yung pinapractice ng kanilang foreign quote-unquote idol, and that is not really good for the local culture. Nawawala yung pagkakailanlan sa ating sa identities natin sa ating local culture because we are overtaken by this foreign culture. That is one example. And another one is Ilocos region, one of the examples. Ilocos region has this effect of the Spanish culture. Diba? Hundreds of years na sigurong nakikita dyan, or years and years na sigurong nakikita dyan yung influence ng ating Spanish foreign culture. Ayan. And bad effects is that parang namamana yung iba na negative ba na kultura ng Spanish. Ayan. Simple example ulit. Yung kay gluton. Damdaman ton. That is one of the, the mañana habit of the Spanish culture. That is one of the influences sa hindi lang sa Ilocos region. Pero dyan kasi masyadong nakikita yung Spanish culture, okay? But those are bad effects of foreign culture. And then deadly diseases spread on global scale. Need I explain this, ladies and gentlemen? This is actually seen right now. The coronavirus, that is a deadly spread of global scale. Bakit ito naging bad effect? Of course, nagiging bad ang effect nito sa economy pa lang. 'Di ba? Sa society, medically, technically, politically, yan, speaking, na ang dami nitong negative effect na nagre-ripple, not just on the places na affected, it's around the world, it's affecting the world. And then price increase, ayan, isa sa mga effect din yan, negative effect din yan, nung pag-widespread nung deadly diseases. So, but anyhow, on other cases na, example natin, walang deadly disease na nangyayari on the global scale, yung price increase pa rin is, nangyayari naman yan every now and then. Yung pagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina, kapag kasi tumataas yung price ng gasolina, nag-i-increase lahat. Na-observe nyo ba yun? Nagtataasan yung prices ng mga commodities natin. Kahit yung mga simpleng gamit lang sa bahay, simpleng mga pagkain lang, may mga price increase yan pag nag-increase yung iba. And then the local industries are overtaken by foreign multinationals. A lot of our industries in the Philippines are actually, owned by foreigners, like for example, Chinese. Yung mga employees nila, Filipinos, pero yung mga nagmamayari, nag-ooperate, are mostly foreigners. And this is really bad for our country because they capitalize so much on our country's resources, like human resources, natural resources, ganyan. And this does not only happen in the Philippines. Lalo na sa mga developing countries pa lang or yung tinatawag nilang third world countries, maraming nangyayaring ganito na maraming nagmamay-ari ng mga industries na foreigners. Ayan, so those are negative effects of our globalization. Ano naman yung effect nito sa police service? Ayan. How does globalization affect our police service, our policing systems? Ayan. So, yung mga crimes before, parang nangyayari lang siya sa isang certain place. Like for example, local lang, in the Philippines lang, or nangyari lang yan in the States lang, or in Russia lang, ganun. Pero yung mga crimes na yun kasi nagkaroon siya ng widespread, it goes global. Ayan. So for example, yung kapag nangyayari yung local crime sa Philippines, tapos nagkakaroon siya ng link sa ibang bansa, nagiging international crime na yan. At affected yung policing service or yung policing system ng mga bansang related or bansang kasali sa nasabing crime. Okay, one example is yung cybercrime natin. Ayan. So, gumawa kayo ng crime sa Ilocos Norte. Nag-hack kayo ng mga accounts. Ayan. At parang yung effect, nabalitaan halimbawa, or what do you call this? It was on the news. It was reported on the news. Tapos nakita ng taga-ibang bansa, ginawa din nila yung ginawa ninyo. Diba? Hindi naman kayo magkakilala eh. Wala kayong link. Pero because they've seen what you've done, they also did this one. Nagkaroon siya ngayon ng international link. Although hindi kayo magkakilala or wala kayong communication, ginawa din nila yung ginawa ninyo. Nagkaroon ngayon ng link. Ayan. So magkakaroon din ng link yung ating mga police services. Mga ganun. So that is one effect in police service. Marami siyang actually effect or ripple. Ano ba nga minti Ilocano ti ripple? Alam niyo yung pag, can you comment on the comment box pag alam niyo yung sinasabi kong term ha? Yung kapag nagbato kayo ng bato sa tubig, nagre-ripple siya. Yung meron siya yung mga circle that goes around and away from the stone. Ripple effect. Hindi ko kasi maintindihan ano yung term na yun eh. Pero yun, nagkakaroon ngayon ng ripple effect. Kapag gumawa ka ng isang crime sa isang place, nagkakaroon siya ng ripple effect at nangyayari din sa iba. That also happens kapag yung police service ay kasama doon. Diba? Halimbawa yung may crime dyan sa lugar ninyo, tapos nag-ripple effect hanggang dito sa amin. Ayun. Research ko ngayon dito. So, but anyhow, effects of globalization to law enforcement, this is a continuation. So, yung globalization is fast happening or nangyayari siya very rapid. Hindi man natin masyadong na-observe sa Philippines kasi as usual, duck ang Philippines, slow moving, ganyan, turtle ang Philippines, slow moving. But anyhow, the facilitation of transnational crimes and criminals can be easily achieved. Ayan, these are actually positive vibes naman or positive, what do you call this, effects of globalization sa ating law enforcement. Ayan. So kapag may nangyayaring facilitation, pag may nangyayaring transnational crime, ay yung mga criminals easier nang natatrack ng ating mga kapulisan. O yun, sabihin na natin yung, ang transnational crime kasi, susunod na topic natin yan pero sabihin ko na rin, ang transnational crime na yan is when one country or that crime happens in one country and it moves or it continues, for example, to another country, that becomes a transnational crime or trans-border crime. Nag-cross-country na yung crime. Ayan. So, halimbawa, may nangyaring isang transnational crime. Ganyan. Yung crime na yan, tsaka yung mga criminals, easier nang na-achieve or na-facilitate or na-observe ng ating mga law enforcers. Easier na nilang nasusundan yung crime. And that is one effect of globalization. How? How do they, facilitate or how do they observe easier? Yan, by the use of technology. Ganyan. Spreading results? Yes, that's spreading your results. Yung kanina yung ripple effect. Ano yun? Para nag-alikuno. Ang lalim naman yan. Hindi ko pa siya narinig. Pero sabi ng classmate ninyo, para nag-alikuno. Yung ripple effect na sinasabi ko kanina. Then, babalikan ko yan. Mamaya. Yan. So, thank you sa mga nag-feedback ha. Yan. So, anyhow, yung transnational crime sinasabi natin, pag mga transnational crime, pag may globalization na to, easier nilang nasusundan yung crime. How? Yan. One is through technology. Yan. So, there is also a need for transnational policy. Of course, yung kapag nangyayari yung transnational crime, automatic kasama yung transnational policy. For example, ginawa mo yung crime sa Philippines, tapos lumipat ka ng Thailand, ginawa ulit. Ginawa ng grupo ninyo, halimbawa, naging transnational crime siya ngayon. Ngayon, magkakaroon siya ng transnational policing, or there will be a cooperation between the police organizations of the Philippines and the police force or law enforcers ng Thailand. So, nagkakaroon ng cooperation yung mga bansang kasali or affected by these transnational crimes. Yeah, so that is a positive effect. Bakit? Kasi nagkakaroon siya ng sharing of information. Nagkakaroon siya ng sharing of intelligence ngayon, diba? Ayan. And then, training instructions for incoming law enforcement officers are becoming advanced. Ayan yung sinasabi natin sa number 1 kanina. Effect ng globalization yan, nagiging advanced sila. When I was rendering my duty as intern, criminology intern, yung mga tao doon, sa intelligence kasi ako, yung mga people doon, yung mga matatalino ba naman silang mga tao, hindi sila masyadong techy. So, nasa amin na mga interns ang nag-encode ng ganito, ganyan. Kami yung nagpre-prepare ng kanilang mga online presentations, ganyan. So, you can just see the effects of globalization. Nagiging advanced yung technology, also the communication, and also yung training ba, or yung kaalaman, the knowledge of the law enforcement, yung mga officers natin. Sumasabay sila sa globalization. Ayan. At nagkakaroon na rin ng, kasi may cybercrime, of course, meron na rin mga field or division ng ating kapulisan that specifically tackles cybercrime. Ganyan. Not only in the Philippines, but this is worldwide. And also, there will be development of new strategies on how to deal with international crimes. Kasi meron na ng cooperation between yung mga policy ng iba't ibang countries. So, nagkakaroon ng new strategies. For example, hindi naman bago yung crime. Like for example lang, ginawa ulit nila yung drug trafficking na crime, and this happened to a lot of Southeast Asian countries. Itong mga Southeast Asian countries, to combat yung drug trafficking na crime or that organized crime, for example, nagkakaroon sila ng strategies or new strategies. Nagkakaroon sila ng bagong kaalaman. Nagde-develop sila ng mga bagong system on how to deal with these international crimes. Ayan. So that is one effect. One very good effect. And then yung provisions of law enforcement with updated legislations. One example, yung ating ICC, although yung ating president ay inalis ang Philippines para na member ng ating ICC or the International Criminal Court. Isa kasi yan sa mga international organizations na it's a tribunal na nag-update ng mga updated na rules and regulations ng iba't ibang bansa na kasama dito. Nagtatakal sila ng mga legislations regarding these countries na members nila. So, updated dapat yung ating mga law enforcers kapag halimbawa may bagong rules sa Thailand, yung mga kapulisan dapat armed with machine guns, mga ganun for example, ganun. Updated yung mga legislations na mga ganun. And yun, usually ina-update sa isang tribunal. Yun nga yung example, yung ICC natin. Ganun. So, isa yan sa mga effect, positive effect na dapat nalalaman natin yung mga updated legislations ng iba't ibang bansa when it comes to law enforcement. Ganon. Okay. So, globalization does not only bring positive things or positive effects. It also threatens our law enforcement or the law enforcement of a lot of countries for that matter. Ganyan. So, ano yung mga threats na binibigay nito sa ating law enforcement or law enforcers, ganyan. There is an increase of human rights violation. Kat mo apay ng human rights, kat apay garod kasali ti law enforcement garod dita. Because it is the work of the law enforcement or law enforcers to address human rights violation. No, umad-ado ti human rights violation, umad-ado ti maobra. Kasjay lang. Ganon. At saka, nagiging clogged yung ating mga courts ng mga human rights cases, ganyan. Like for example, yung genocide or mass killing. It happened before in Mindanao. If you remember it's not the Mama Sapano massacre, hindi yung SAP 44. It is, I forgot kasi kung ano yung killing of the journalists. dun sa Mindanao by this, certain family na pinatay lahat ng mga journalists. Tapos, parang inkalid ang ngay dagi journalists, the Maguindanao massacre, at least 34 journalists were killed in this massacre. And that is one example ng human rights violation na hanggang ngayon problema pa rin ng kapulisan yung ibang aspects ng kaso na to. Diba? So that is one of the threats sa ating law enforcement. Mas nadadagdagan yung kanilang trabaho, ganun. And then, yung underprivileged natin, they gain unfair access sa mga mechanisms ng law enforcement and security. Yan. Let's say, for example, sa ating mga third world countries dito sa Southeast Asia, Philippines, I can say Cambodia, Laos, yung People's Democratic Republic of Laos, ganyan. Maraming underprivileged or yung mga walang kakayahan, walang kayamanan, walang kapit. Yan, sabihin na natin yan because that is a fact. Yun yung mga underprivileged. Wala silang access sa mechanisms ng law enforcement or mabagal yung pagsaserve sa kanila ng law enforcement or law enforcers. Ayan. You know why? Kasi yung law enforcers natin, dapat sumabay sila sa globalization or sa development. Ayan. So, naiiwan yung mga underprivileged. Nagkakaroon ngayon sila ng konting access sa ating law enforcement or even sa justice or pagsaserve ng justice sa kanila. Kasi naiiwan na sila. So that is also a threat. And then there's a conflict between nations happening between Israel and Palestine. If you ever watch the news, and I hope you watch the news, even if it does not relate, it's not related to you or it does not have an effect on you, be informed lang. So those are examples, conflict between the Israel and Palestine. So ngayon, yung law enforcers na nasa Gaza Strip or nasa, what do you call this? Nasa border ng dalawang country, ang dami nilang problema. Who do they cater? Na dun sa mga nasa middle, nasa border, 'di ba? Marami silang problema yung mga yan. And also, yung pag nagkaroon ng conflict, yung dalawang nations, yung law enforcement ng isang bansa, of course, they will stand by their country. Diba? Pag sinabi nilang war, war. And that is a threat on law enforcement dahil nawawala yung cooperation, international cooperation. Nawawala yung international solidarity between the law enforcers. Ayan. And also, transnational crime networks for drug trafficking. Ito yung isa sa mga major problems ng Asia, for example, yung criminal networks ng drug trafficking, very rampant dito yan. At threat yan sa ating law enforcement dahil hindi nila masugpo-sugpo. Ganyan. Money laundering, terrorism, that's everywhere naman. So, ayan. Ayan. So, wala pa rin question. And time check, 62 students are there. Mind you, 3 section dapat to, pero walang iba. And so there will be also opportunities for ating law enforcers kapag may globalization. Globalization ako ng globalization. It pertains lang to development, ganyan yung globalization. Ganyan. That happens globally. So merong opportunities para sa ating mga law enforcers, para sa mga kapulisan, or hindi lang kapulisan, sa mga law enforcers din yung ating military ha. So law enforcers din yung mga yan. So anyhow, yung globalization, pag nangyari yan, marami man siyang threat na nabibilang, marami rin siyang mga opportunities na kasama. Ayan. So like for example, creation of international tribunals. Yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung ICC, that is one example of international tribunal. Although it deals with legislations, mga ganyan, meron din siyang tinatakal na human rights problems. Ayan. One example also is the UN, CHR, or the United Nations Commission on Human Rights. That is an international tribunal that addresses human rights problems. O kat anang di opportunity karon ti law enforcement idzay ma'am. Kapag nagkakaroon ng mga international tribunals na ganito, nangangailangan sila ng mga kapulisan and they hire international policemen from member countries. And Philippines is one of the member countries ng UN. Tapos halimbawa kailangan nila ng mga tao for this international tribunal, ayan, opportunities yan para sa mga kapulisan dito sa Pilipinas. Hindi lang dito, sa iba't ibang bansa pa. Yan, yung head namin ng Intel dati sa BCPO, ayan, isa siya ngayon dito sa International Tribunal Police Person. And then, humanitarian interventions that can promote universal norms and link. Let's take again yung example ng United Nations. Ibang desk naman, the United Nations Police or the UN Police, ayan, nag-hire sila ng mga law enforcers that help them in achieving their humanitarian intervention. Halimbawa, may problem sa South Africa. Kailangan nila ng mga law enforcers from other countries to people or to, parang sila yung magiging tao to promote yung kanilang goal, promote yung goal ng UN, halimbawa. So, tinatawag nila yung mga UN police. Yan. So, nagkakaroon din ng link between these countries na, halimbawa, members. Nagkakaroon sila ng education, like for example, training. And then, yung mga law enforcers na yan, babalik sila sa kanilang mga bansa. They also share or they re-echo sa kanilang mga local counterparts. So that promotes universal norms and links. Napopromote ngayon yung kaalaman. Ganon, sa ating law enforcement. Then, transnational professional network and cooperation, yung nagkakaroon ng organizations internationally. Like for example, ano ba yung familiar sa inyo? Interpol. Familiar naman siguro sa inyo yan. That is a transnational professional network, the International Police Organization. Nagkakaroon ng cooperation between the countries to fight against yung crimes. Not only the local crimes, but also yung transnational crime. Nagkakaroon ng sharing ng intelligence, nagkakaroon ng sharing ng technology, nagkakaroon ng sharing ng or updates, ganon. Tapos yun, global groups for conflict monitoring, ito yun yung sinasabi natin. Nagkakaroon sila ng mga sharing of international knowledge between countries. So yung mga law enforcement ng Philippines, halimbawa, nagkakaroon sila ng chance to learn from law enforcers ng Canada, ng Australia, ganyan. And it happens naman. Nagpapadala pa nga tayo ng mga kapulisan para mag-train sa ibang bansa. Ayan. Characters of globalization. How do we see globalization in the aspect of criminal justice or criminal law or police or policing? Ganyan. So yung globalization, when it happens, there is a movement of commodities. Yung oil, of course, kailangan yan sa lahat ng bansa na may sasakyan, may transportation. This is one of the leading commodities that moves. Ganyan, yung commodities. Ngayon, ang characteristics naman ito is yan. It's either yung price go down or price go up. At affected lahat kapag yung tumaas ngayon, sinasabi ko, yung prices ng commodities natin. So this is, kapag may international movement, yung mga commodities na to, this is an aspect of globalization. And then money is everywhere. And it moves everywhere. Ganyan. So this is a part of globalization, mga kapatid. Since time immemorial, part na ito ng kalakalan or ng international relationship between countries. Ayan. So although yung domineering pa rin naman yan is the USD, which is accepted everywhere. Ayan. So, accepted din naman yung euros, UK pound, ganon. Pero sa ibang places kasi mas they dwell on the dollars. Ganon. Dito sa Philippines, whenever we go out of the country, meron nagpapalit kami ng USD because it is generally accepted everywhere. Kahit sa ang airport, accepted ang US money. Yan. So money is part of globalization. It is a character of globalization. Nakapigkat data, kwarta nga data, napanggap iti globalization laong. Ayan. FBI, yes, FBI is also, but FBI, question kasi ng classmate ninyo is, FBI are considered, aside from Interpol, FBI is actually an organization of the Bureau of the United States. Pero meron din silang section or specific desk that deals globally or internationally. So meron silang, yes, kasama sila sa mga international organizations. Pero hindi yung FBI per se. Kasi yung FBI is nag-address lang sila within the states, more than 50 states of the US. Pero meron silang special desk na nakikipag-coordinate with other international law enforcers. Kaya kasali din sila sa ating tinutukoy na organizations or transnational professional network, gano'n. Ayan. So, yung FBI, pwede silang makipag-cooperate sa ating Interpol, Asianapol, Europol, gano'n. And UN Police also. Ayan, so balik tayo dito. So, one of the characteristics also of globalization is yung information. Parang yung nangyayari ngayon, yung pandemic, yung information very nakakalito. Alam mo ba yun? Or, there are a lot of information that comes out. Sometimes people that do not know what to believe, mga ganon. So, yung nagiging global problem din tuloy yung ating information. Although, dapat yung information is not supposed to be restricted lang para sa may mga, kakayahan to get that real information. Nakukuha nyo ba yung ibig kong sabihin? Regarding this virus kasi, meron yung mga information na hindi masyadong pinapaalam sa general public. Ganyan. Which is not supposed to be. Because yung information nga is supposed to be global. Alam ng lahat. Ganon. And people, why is people or tayong mga tao kasama dito sa characteristics ng globalization? When we move around, that is one part of globalization. When a certain person has an effect globally, that is considered globalization. Like for example, si President, wait lang nga, ano ko muna to. Si President, sino yung natanggal na US President? Trump. Former President ng US Trump is, has an international effect. Hindi naman siya nag-travel sa lahat ng country, pero meron siyang international effect. Yung kaisipan niya o yung kanyang pag-uutak ay globally known. So that's part of globalization and it is affecting yung kaisipan ng ibang politicians sa iba't ibang bansa. Putin ng Russia, di ba? Yan. Ang sa atin lang naman ang pinaka parang globally known is dalawang president lang. For me, it's President Marcos and President Duterte. So meron silang, kahit di man sila mag-travel sa ibang bansa na yun, may movement yung kanilang mga kaisipan, yung kanilang mga ideals. Ayan. So people, ganon. Ayan. Yung si Hidilyn Diaz, diba? Bigla siya nagkaroon ng effect globally in terms of sports. Ayan. Merong movement yung kanyang, parang merong ripple effect. Yun pa rin. Agwaras. When agwaras, yung ripple effect yun. Agwarwaras nga suna. Ganun. I am not sure, but I'll research on that pa. Baka correct yung mga sinasabi ninyong terms dun sa effect. And also yung technology. Oh my gosh, this is globally. And although nalilate tayo, mga kapatid, to be honest with this global thing. Nalilate tayo. Pero yan pa rin. Globalization yan. Part of globalization yan. Organizations, international organizations, in the aspect of law enforcement, itakal natin ito. Yun nga, yung sinasabi natin, Asianapol, Interpol, UNPol, yun yung mga i-discuss kasi natin later on. Iko-compare natin later on. Legal systems, yan, discuss din natin yan kanina, yung updates ng ating legislation sa isang, halimbawa, tribunal. Ayan. Like for example, yung United States, nagkaroon ng amendment nila, yung First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment. Paano siya nagiging global? Kasi nag-i-include sila dito sa kanilang legal systems ng provisions or certain sections that addresses international issues. Kaya nagiging global yung kanilang legal system. Ayan, infrastructure. Paano naging part ng globalization ng infrastructure? Ayan, first, yung mga materials to, make those infrastructures, saan ba nanggagaling? Those are from other countries. Yan. Yung iba galing Japan. Maganda pag galing Japan yung ating mga infra. Yan. Maganda rin naman yung ibang galing China. Wag nyo namang isipin na pag galing China yan, peke yan. It's not. When we were in China, yung mga hotels nila, hindi pa 5-star yung mga pinuntahan namin, pero ang gaganda ng gamit. Tapos yung mga hotel natin dito sa Philippines na 5-star, tapos yung mga gamit is produced by China, ang papangit. So, hindi lahat ng galing sa China is pangit or bad. Yung mga reject lang kasi nila, yun yung mga tinatangkilik natin. Kaya pag sinabing China made, it's not good. Dito sa Philippines, yun ang kaisipan, pero hindi. And this is the same sa kanilang infrastructures. So yan, unang-una yung mga gamit sa pagbi-build ng ating mga infrastructures. Amoy ba no nya ti infra mga kapatid? Examples, baka infra ako ng infra, hindi nyo naiintindihan. Yung bridges, yung mga buildings natin, ganon. And another aspect kung bakit global ang infrastructures natin, yung inspiration sa design. Paano na-design yung ating mga infrastructures? Effect ba yan or design ba yan, for example, ng Russia? Ginaya ba natin yung design ng ating infra from Russia or inspired ba ng Russian design, Japan design, mga ganon. So that is also global. Yan. And one more thing, yung infrastructures nakaka-affect ba sa globalization, sa problem ng globalization? Yung Patapat Viaduct, that is one of the most known na infra ng Ilocos Norte. Ano yung effect nito globally? Diba? Or how is it related to global aspect? Do you know? Ayan. Ripple effect is continuous effect. O, isa din yun, continuous effect ng ripple effect. Ayan. Yung iba dito, debatable daw. Whether they are really parts of globalization or not. Pero I think, all of these are part of globalization. Meron silang coexistence with one another. They are interlinked with one another, di ba? Like for example, yung technology and information. Hindi ka naman pwedeng magkaroon ng advancement ng technology kung walang advancement ng information. Saan manggagaling yung kaalaman mo, di ba? Like for example, yung ating commodity and money. Interlinked din tong dalawa. Hindi pwedeng may commodity na walang money. Ganun, diba? Kasi hindi pwedeng kumuha ng oil ang isang bansa pag wala siyang money. Hindi naman lahat is merong gold, may silver to exchange for that. So lahat ito is actually interlinked with each other for globalization. Ito kasing yung statement sa baba, the actual existence of some of these trends is debated or debatable. Marami kasing scholars na nagsasabi na yung ibang aspect hindi daw part ng globalization. I don't know what or from where is that coming from. Nilagay ko lang yung ating question para, kaisipan dapat yan, pero hindi natin i-discuss. So anyhow, there are aspects of globalization. A lot of aspects actually, hindi lang siya limited sa sinulat natin dito na 5. There are more than 20 aspects of globalization, pero hindi na natin i-discuss yung iba. Like for example, yung cultural aspect ng globalization kasi hindi naman masyadong related sa ating law enforcement yan. So, ito lang 5, yung medyo related. Like, for example, yung communication and information. That is one of the most, para siyang vulnerable ba? One of the most important na, one of the most important na aspect ng globalization. Because there is a worldwide, anong tawag dito? Worldwide na kailangan ito. Yung communication and information, ganyan. So that is one aspect of globalization. Anywhere, everywhere, communication and information is needed, is experienced, is shared. Ayan. Then economy, affected yung economy natin, yung markets natin, yung goods natin, yung capitals natin. Ayan. So how is this related to law enforcement? Yung mga kakailanganin ng ating kapulisan, yung mga kagamitan, that is part of the economy. That is part of the trade, the goods, the capitals. Ayan. And then society. The world is, definition dito, global village kasi siya. Ayan. So global village, ibig sabihin, everywhere, anywhere, people can come and go, except siguro North Korea. Ganyan. Ayan. So, but anyhow, yung society natin, pwede tayong mag-travel anywhere, anytime. And that is part of globalization. That is movement. That is development. Ayan. So that is one aspect. And then security, ayan, kung may movement yung mga people, may movement yung mga goods, kailangan yung security din global. Sasabay ito sa movement ng economy and society and also movement ng political, yung security natin. Then, this is to protect against, like for example, terrorism, possible attacks, mga ganon. So political, of course, that is global, lalo ngayon at malapit na yung election natin, ganon. So, but anyhow, yung mga political, hindi lang yung mga politicians ang sinasabi natin dito, ha? Political is also the rules that governs yung ating politics, ganyan. So, may mga advancement yan, and it actually affects or it has a ripple effect on globalization kasi tinitignan yung political capacity teka ba ulan tayo politically kapag yung political system natin is maganda. So, ibig sabihin kapag, like for example, bilis ko magsalita, ano? Ang tawag doon? Nadi-distract ako sa comment. Yan. So, mamaya ko na i-address yung ibang comments, ha. During the Marcos time, yung political era ng Marcos time, Philippines is known worldwide because of the martial law. And yung martial law is one of the political powers. Ganyan na nagpa-advance sa kaalaman ng marami. In-study yan ng marami, nagpa-advance yan sa kaalaman ng marami worldwide. So that is one aspect of political globalization. Okay. So what makes a particular crime para maging global problem siya? Apay, di pa nang hack ko nga dito account ti Facebook ti kadwa dito Ilocos Norte ket global probleman. It could be. You know why? Because some crimes has this accentuating character. When you say accentuating character, ayan. Balik tayo sa ripple effect. Ginawa niyo yung hacking sa Ilocos Norte. Parang nag-enjoy naman kayo, hinak nyo. Tapos ginawa rin siya ng particular group of people sa Hong Kong. Pero wala kayong communication, hindi pa na-report yung inyong crime. Ginawa nyo lang, walang may alam, kayo-kayo lang. Tapos certain group of people ginawa rin sa Hong Kong. A certain group of people ginawa rin sa America or sa US. Pero wala kayong connection, wala kayong kaalam-alam. Nagkakaroon ngayon yan ng accentuating character or ripple effect kahit hindi man kayo nagkakaroon ng link or hindi nyo man alam yung ginawa ng isa't isa. Accentuating character, nagkakaroon siya ng the same na characters dun sa ibang bansa. So, nagiging global ngayon yung ating crime. Do you understand? Yung ina-explain ko, nagiging noticeable yung inyong mga crime. Nagiging alam yan ng lahat. Nagiging nalalaman niya ng marami. Because it has an accentuating character. Ayan. Nag-hack dito, nag-hack doon, nag-hack. Nagiging global problem ngayon yan. So, hindi lang locally. Although, walang relationship yung mga yan, walang link yung mga yan. Nagkakaroon siya ng accentuating character. So, it becomes ngayon a global problem. It needs the address of our global law enforcement. Yung, another example is yung pagpatay. Just spree killing. Just a few days ago, mayroong nangyaring ganito in a part of Australia na yung isang tao lumabas, pinagsasaksak yung lahat ng masalubong para patayin. Ayan. Pero before that, di ba may mga reports pa sa United States, especially in the United States, meron yung lalabas lang, pinagbabaril lahat. Pinatay lahat, pinagbabaril. Tsaka sa isang school, nangyari ulit yan, di ba? Part of Texas, I think, yung school na yun. So yun, wala naman silang connection sa isa't isa, hindi naman magkakilala yung mga criminals. Or yung groups of criminals kung grupo man yun. Pero it has an accentuating character. Noticeable siya, prominent na siya, nangyayari siya around the world. Ganun. And that is a global problem. Nagiging global problem yung particular crime na nangyari lang sa isang lugar. Pero ginawa rin pala sa iba. That they have the same characters. Ayan. So that is one of those areas where a crime can become a global problem. Ganyan. So, ito yung sabi niya, this crime does not necessarily need to have actors inducing it across frontiers. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko, hindi siya kailangang merong link. Kayong mga actors na gumawa ng crime, hindi kailangang magkakilala kayo. Pero yung crime nyo kasi nag-cross country. Isa din yan sa mga considerations na global yung isang problem kapag nag-cross country na yung isang problema or yung isang crime. Yung drugs. Yung drugs hindi lang naman sa halimbawa kasi landlocked yung mga countries ng Southeast Asia, like pag sinabi kong landlocked agkakaabay ti borderline dako daga mo laong. Hangkala Pilipinas nga naka-separate kasi tayo, nasa gitna tayo ng dagat. Wala tayong kalandlocked na ibang bansa. So ayan, like for example, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Laos, Brunei. No. Yun. Thailand, Malaysia, Laos, Cambodia. Yan. Vietnam. Magkaka-landlocked yung mga yan. Ngayon, madaling mag-travel yung mga dyan, yung mga crimes. Like for example, yung pagnanakaw ginawa sa Thailand, pinunta sa Cambodia. Yung ninakaw. Yan, nag-travel ngayon yung crime. It crossed the frontier or the barrier. Yan, nagiging global problem yan kaagad. part of the globalization, crime globalization. Ayan. Okay? So, dalawa yung ating aspect para maging global problem. Yung isa, may accentuating character siya or it has this ripple effect. Yung isa, nag-cross country yung crime. Ayan. So, what does it make para maging global crime? Ayan, yung mga maging critical na global crime yung mga problems. Yung dealing in illicit drugs, this is everywhere. Ayan, siguro except sa mga, hindi naman except, pero meron pa rin namang problems na ganito dun sa mga, low-key countries, like for example, Switzerland, siguro, yan, favorite country kasi yun. So, alam ko walang masyadong illicit drugs dito, pero meron pa rin naman. Like for example, yung mga foreigners na pumupunta doon. Yan. So, illegal trafficking of weapons. Hindi man siya nare-report masyado. May mga cases tayo in the Philippines like this. Yung high-grade, high-calibered weapons na napupunta sa mga terrorists. Ayan. Illegally trafficked yung mga yun. So, paano sila magkakaroon ng, high-caliber weapons if they don't have the license from the government? And then, trafficking in human beings. Example, like for example, yung mga tao ng South Africa, yung mga poor countries or underprivileged places ng Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Sudan, Nigeria, yung mga yun naman yung places dun sa Southern Africa na usually nata-traffic yung mga tao. They were illegally trafficked to Europe para maging like sex workers or maging mga slaves ng mga mayayaman. So those are also global crimes. Money laundering. Yung money laundering is hindi lang yung pagnanakaw ng pera, ganyan. Kasama dito yung pamimeke ng pera on a large scale, yung pag-hoard ng pera, ganyan. So lagi tayong binabalaan ng government, do not hoard coins, ganyan. Kut ko saan mo ka magarod agurnong, hami nga, urnungon, di kita coins. But anyhow, that was just, personal idea. Pero yun nga. And corruption, oh my gosh, this is everywhere. Corruption is literally from local offices hanggang national offices hanggang international offices. Kapag corruption, hindi lang sa government yan. Pwede rin siyang mangyari sa school. Ayan. Concrete example, bigyan ko kayo ng concrete example. Halimbawa kayo is bumagsak, 5 yung grade, diba? Tapos gusto nyong pumasa, maging 3 yung grade. You talk to your teachers in exchange of what? In exchange of perhaps money? Ganun. That is form of corruption. Very simple lang yan na form of corruption. So imagine nyo kapag ginagawa yan all around the world. That is one example ng corruption. So corruption does not only happen sa ating government. Ayan. And another form ng corruption is yung sa education system, yung sinasabi ko kanina. Yung corruption din is nangyayari sa ibang aspects. Like for example, sa economy. Ayan. Hinuhoard nila yung bigas para ibenta later on ng mas malaking amount. That is one form of corruption. And then violent crimes, that includes terrorism, of course, that is one big violent crime. So global crime din yan because it happens everywhere. ISIS, for example, hindi lang siya sa Philippines. It is everywhere around the world, lalo na sa Middle East natin. Meron ding ISIS sa United States, baka kala nyo. Ayan. If you ever heard of the Illuminati, meron, debatable pa rin kasi kung totoo nga bang Illuminati or what. This is a certain group of people that could make you famous, but will kill you at the end. So that is one of those violent crimes. Ayan. But I don't know if you believe in this or not. Ayan. So, but anyhow, meron din yung mga war crimes. Ano yung mga war crimes na, for example, yun yung nangyari sa ating Mama Sapano Massacre. Sub 44 that died because of this war that is happening. Actually, hindi lang siya war crime yun May kasamang political crime pa yung yun. Ayan. Meron kaming update regarding this kasi may mga classmates kami from na nandun. Ayan. So anyhow, yun. Merong mga crimes na yung mga pag nangyayari halimbawa is meron siyang kasamang ibang crime. Like for example, yung illicit drugs. Kasama niyan halimbawa yung illegal trafficking of human beings. Pwedeng magkasama yan. Pwede rin yung illegal trafficking of human beings, money laundering. Yan. So they have unwarranted effects to not only in that specific place or in that specific na country na pinangyarihan niya, meron siyang effect sa lahat. Ayan. Ayan. Wait lang ha, magbasa ako ng comment. Okay, yes, technology could be, both sides, yung import and export, okay? And then, yes, Asiana Poll. Technology and infra are linked also. Yes. Ganyan. Lalo na sa China. Nung nagsimula yung pandemic natin, di ba? They made a very big hospital in a span of 10 days using their technology. Yan. So, technology and infra are linked also. Yes. Ayan, sa mga nalilate na nag-comment, basta mag-join kayo ng ating discussion. Ha? Hindi nyo kasi maiintindihan pag gagawin nyo ng activity without these ones. I am 100% sure of that. So let's go forward. So what is the criminogenic effect? Ang dami, no? So what are the criminogenic effects of globalization? No, kung natin yung criminogenic, what is this? This is the producing or tend to produce a crime or criminality. Ayun. So yung crimes ngayon, hindi lang siya nangyayari locally or nationally. It is affecting international economies, international society. Ganyan. So kapag meron siyang criminogenic effect, like for example, yung simpleng mga crimes, money laundering. Or like for example, yung money laundering, have you watched the movie Money Heist? Or yung Oceans 9, 10, 11, 12. Ayan, one of example yan yung mga, money laundering things, mga ganyan. And they produce crime or criminality not only sa isang bansa or sa isang local economy or local or national economy. Affected yung iba globally. At hindi lang yung kanilang economy ang affected. One is yung security, nabubreach yung security ng isang country. Yung politics nila, parang nagka-capitalize kasi yung mga politicians kapag may mga nangyayaring ganito international crimes para sa kanilang mga business, on their own business. Let's take, hindi ko sinasabing ginawa to ng ating president or hindi ako anti-Duterte. Hindi ako anti or pro. I am nowhere over there. I don't even vote. I'm not even registered to vote because I don't believe in that, BS. But anyhow, let's take for example lang si ating President Duterte. Isa sa mga rampant crimes kasi is yung drugs, di ba? So nag-declare siya ngayon ng war on drugs. Kinakapitalize niya yung drugs na crime para, ma-criminalize yung politics, maging business yung politics, maging business ng kapulisan yung politics. Sana nagigets niyo yung ibig kong sabihin. Hindi ko kailangan sabihin yung word. Sana nagigets niyo. Example lang yun ha. Hindi ko sinasabing ginawa niya talaga. So, but anyhow, nagiging global yung problem na gano'n. So, yan, Money Heist, di ba? Napanood yung mga gano'n. That is one of the most popular movies that tackles global problem about money laundering, about, pagnanakaw, gano'n. So yan, criminogenic effect na gets nyo ba? Nagiging criminal yung isang act. Ganun. Naging criminal yung isang act because there are a lot of people or maybe groups of people that capitalize on these acts para maging worldwide siya na ginagawa. Yun nga sabi ko, yung war on drugs, problem yan ng halimbawa Indonesia, problem yan ng Malaysia. Pero dahil meron din sa Philippines, naging problem din yan ng Philippines at kinakapitalize yan ng mga nasa power. If you read yung mga ibang news kasi hindi masyadong nababalita or pinapalabas, 'di ba? Yung nung hinuli yung mga drugs, marami daw yung hindi na report na drugs. Saan napunta yung iba? Ayan. So nagiging business yan ng ibang politicians, ibang people. Yan. So, but anyhow, wala akong sinasabi ha, kung sino yung gumawa or ano. Basta yun, example lang. So, what is the link between a globalization and crime? O, di ba, kinuha na natin to kanina. Anat relasyon dagiti globalization con crime? Apay no, the globalization at dangarod crime. The answer to that is yes. Ayan. But, let's take a look. Ano yung links or yung relasyon or yung, ano pa bang ibang term ng link and relation? Yung kaugnayan nung dalawa, o tinagalog ko lang. Ayan, yung kaugnayan nung dalawa. Ganyan. So, yung migration in terms of travel. Ease of migration, ibig sabihin, mas madali ng mag-travel, di ba? Like, yung mga tao. Hindi lang mga tao, yung ating mga cargamento. So, link yung crime dyan. Kapag yung tao nag-travel sa iba't ibang lugar, maaaring tina-travel nila yung crime. Or maaaring nagiging transnational yung kanilang crime. Ngayon, kung may travel naman yung mga cargamento, hindi lang ibig sabihin na legal yan. Baka may mga illegal. Nababalitaan niyo yung mga dumarating na cargamento na very big drums. I forgot about this report, but it's a very big drum. Tapos yung binuksan is high grade na shabu yung laman. Luzon yun nangyari eh. I mean, some months ago pa yun. Or last year pa ata yun. Pero yun ay isa sa mga example. So, di ba? Imbes na yung mga binili is, para sa infra ata yung binili, that is very good because, yung mga infra natin, madedevelop, magiging maganda, pero sumama pa rin yung crime ng drugs. Ganun. And then yung cyberspace communications, ganyan. It's bringing us many benefits. Natututo tayo even at the comforts of our own home, di ba? Parang kayo, nakaupo kayo sa inyong mga bahay, pwede kayong mag-research online using the SEO engines, and that is very nice. Pero yung mga yun is nagiging, nakikriminalize. Kapag, for example, halimbawa, right at this moment, I believe, merong center na nakikinig sa ating discussion. And I don't know why, and I don't care who are they kapag nakikinig sila. Anyhow, alam ko may nakikinig sa mga discussions. Like for example, sa FB, yung palitan nyo ng communication ng boyfriend mo, nababasa yan ng FB center. Believe me or not. So, yung secret nyo dapat na kayo lang, alam yan nung FB center. So, nagiging crime yan kapag kinakapitalas yan ng iba na ginagamit yan to, for example, blackmail you, for example, yung mga ganon. So, I mean, that is part of globalization. That is part of development, yung communication na yan. And it's bringing us many benefits. Like, for example, ako, nakakapag-research ako, even na nakaupo ako dito sa bahay, halimbawa. Ayan. But that is very good. Pero alam kong nababantayan yan nung iba kung ano yung mga nire-research ko. So, but I don't give a damn. Anyhow, that is one of the link nung globalization and crime. Kinakapitalize kasi ng iba para ginagawang crime. Ginagawa nilang parang nag-take advantage lang sila sa mga ganun. Ayun. Lalo na yung mga techie people na meron kasi yung techie people, meron yung mga mas techie people na alam kung paano ganito. Believe me or not, yung kapatid ng husband ko marunong siyang mag-unlock ng phone na nalock, ganun. Kasi may napulot kami yung phone dati before, tapos walang gusto mag-claim, ganun. Tapos in-unlock niya yung phone, 'di ba? Mga ganun. But anyhow, hindi ko sinasabing pag marunong ka mag-unlock ng phone, criminal ka na ha. Meron kasi yung ginagamit yan for crime. Yung mga nadudukot na phone, mga ganun. Pinapa-unlock dun sa mga marunong. Yan. So, nag-gets nyo? I hope nag-gets nyo yung link ng globalization sa crime. Okay. So, what do we need to change the relationship between globalization and crime? Yung relationship na sinasabi natin, kapag yung globalization is tumataas or mas nagde-develop, gumaganda, sumasama si crime. So yan, BFF sila si globalization tsaka si crime ngayon. So dapat meron tayong gawin para hindi ganun yung mangyari. Na yung globalization umangat, yung crime bumaba dapat. Hindi yung sasabay yung crime na umangat din. 'Di ba? So what do we need to do? Yan. So isa lang naman yung kailangan nating gawin. Kasi nga global is talking about more than one country. We need international cooperation. With whom? With other peopling of other countries. Hindi lang sa law enforcement naman kasi ito. Kasama yung ating ibang aspect ng society. Like for example, yun nga, political cooperation. Ganyan. O diba? Ang ganda ng political cooperation natin Philippines and China versus the world. Example lang. Yan. So, but anyhow, kailangan natin ng international cooperation para mapalitan natin yung relasyon na sinasabi ko. Na kapag umaakyat, yung gumaganda, umaakyat, yung nagka-climb si globalization, ganun din si crime, sumasama siya. So, kailangan nating palitan yan. So, ito lang yung kailangan natin, international cooperation with other law enforcers, other law, legislation tribunals, mga ganun. Then, example of relationship between globalization and crime. Kanina pa naman actually natin to dinidiscuss. Na-topic ko na ata to. Na-discuss ko na yung drug trafficking, ganyan. Kasama din pa rin siya sa ibang other crimes, ganun. Yung pinangakuan ka ng magandang trabaho pero hindi pala, yan. Maganda na sana kasi may trabaho ka na, employed ka na, hindi ka na problema ng society. Pero nung pumunta ka pala doon, iba pala yung naging trabaho mo, gano'n. Isa yan sa example ng relasyon, ng globalization and crime. So, ayan. Before we go to our next topic, I just like to give you an intro. What is comparative police system and how is it related to globalization? Ayan. From the word itself, kahit di nyo basahin yung definition, comparative police system is comparing the police systems of who? Siyempre, ng iba't ibang bansa. Alam ka naman i-compare mo yung police system ng Philippines versus Philippines. Diba? Comparative police systems of one country to another. Ngayon, paano natin i-compare? Kayo, mga kapatid, paano ba kayo nagko-compare? Boys, paano kayo nagko-compare ng girls? You know? And vice versa, girls. How do you compare the boys? Diba? Kino-compare natin yung similarities, pagkakapada. Kino-compare natin yung differences, pagkakaiba. Ano ba Ilocano nung pagkakaiba? Pagkakahaan nga kapada. Ano ba yun? The similarities and differences, this is what we're going to compare sa ating police system. Ngayon, how is it related to globalization? Ayan. Yung globalization nangyayari yan everywhere. Let's bigay tayo ng concrete example. 3 bansa sa Asia, Thailand, hindi na lang. Japan, China, and Philippines. Yan, i-compare natin yung police system ng mga yan. So, paano naging related yung globalization? Iba-iba kasi yung laws natin, yung 3 bansa na sinabi natin. Pero, meron tayong relationship when it comes to globalization, yung exchange of information para sa economy, di ba? Yung ating technology, ganyan. So, kailangan din natin i-compare yung police system na yun as to address yung nagiging problema ng globalization. So, dito ba sa Philippines, kapag nag-i-import tayo ng ganito, is okay ba yung police system natin dito? Papaano nga ba? How about sa Japan? Halimbawa, may exchange of cultural exchanges or political exchanges, for example, transportation, communication exchanges. Okay ba yung kapulisan nila o yung system ng kanilang policy about this certain exchange of information or globalization? Ayan. So, i-compare natin yung kanilang mga police system. So, ayan, globalization. Andyan pa rin yan. Globalization is relationship between these ones all over the world. Ayan, so yan lang yung ating ito-topic for this morning. So, before I give you your activity, section D.H.L. Yung mag-activity lang ha. Baka may nakipag-join dyan from other sections sa ating discussion. It's okay. Pero yung gagawa ng ating susunod na activity is section D.H.L. Maliwanag ha. Ayan. So, I'll give you like a minute. May mga nahuhuli kasi. So, nakikita ko yan yung medyo nahuhuli yung comments ninyo. Siguro sa signal lang naman yan. I'll give you a minute to ask whatever question do you have regarding our discussion for today. Ayan. Globalization lang naman yung topic natin today. Yes. Do you have questions? Key in the comment box. Saan ka agbabain nga agko-question, okay? Because this is, two-way learning. Kesa mo agtal na kayo hanya klaro gayam kas dyan. So this is two-way learning, mga kapatid. You ask me, I'll answer at the best I can kapag alam ko yung sagot, okay? Baka may mga tanong kayo. Tanong lang kayo. Ano yung, like for example, hindi nyo naintindihan. Ano yung nagdamdamag kayo ti madiyo na awatan hanga kababain dejay. Kahit na lang asawa nagdangag ka. Pero adapay lang itikurang ejay nangag mo halimbawa. And that is okay. So, ang kayo nagbabain nagdamdamag. Or baka meron yung dinidiscuss ko, tapos ang bilis. Ano, ang bilis naman ni magsalita. Diyak pa yung matartarusan. Yan, ang kayo nagbabain. Damag kayo lang. Anak mga gungot. Mas agungot nak no inarami yung activity yung madiwem na awatan ti discussion. Diba? Isi-zero ko ito. Yan. So, but anyhow, questions. Habang nagsasalita ako dito, baka may mga questions kayo dyan. It's okay. Clear daw yung explanation para sa iba. How about the others? Hangkay agbabain ko na manan hanga dito ko, alam mo ba inak tay classmate ko baga dagit di nga kon. Diya makaawat. Hindi. Iba-iba tayo ng state ng pagkakaintindi. Ako din minsan kapag may napapanood akong news, minsan di ko naiintindihan, kailangan kong ulitin, gano'n. Considered daw ba na terrorism attack yung bombing ng World Trade Center? Yes. Because yung, if you know the story of the World Trade Center, yung kasi dalawa yun, di ba, yung Twin Towers. Yung unang airplane na naka-hit sa, I think, Tower A, yung first, let's say, for example, Tower A yung na-hit, hijacked yung airplane na yun. That is commercial airplane. Tapos hinijack. And then yun, di hinijack na DJ aeroplano, indiretso da DJ Tower A ng World Trade Center. Ayun, so that is one of the terrorism attacks. And then yung second plane naman is the same. Hijack din. Suicide bomber ata yung mga yun. Yun. So that is considered terrorism. 911. Where are you going? Okay. You have other questions? Ay, nag-aantay lang ako ng mga questions, ha. It's okay to ask. This is both sharing naman. Kaya it's okay. Ayan. Wait lang, ha. I-load ko lang yung ating activity. Ayan. Habang nag-aantay ako ng questions, pwede pong mag-ask ng questions, ha. I-load ko lang yung ating activity. Or yan. Sige, 30 seconds pa. Bakit turning point yung 911? Anong meron sa 911? I mean, di ko gets yung turning point. 911 attack. 911 is actually, you know, pag sa America, pag may emergency ka, you dial 911. And that is very perfect na ginawa yung, I mean, perfect in the aspect, ha, yung time. Hindi ko sinabing perfect yung crime. Perfect in the aspect na tiniming nila sa September 11 yung attack. You know, loopholes lang ng law enforcement ng United States is kulang yung kanilang intelligence regarding this matter. And pag sa aspect na titignan mo na ginawa yun as a crime, ha, pero meron kasi yung mga, you know, theories, mahilig ako manood ng mga ganun, yung mga theories para pinapanood ko yung ideas, is benta yung 911, you know, to submerge really the World Trade Center at para yung mga tao ng United States bumalik yung tiwala nila sa government, you know. So, but anyhow, those are conspiracy theories. Nanonood ako ng mga ganun. So, walang questions? What is happening to my throat? Ayan. No, ang damagan yun, i-load ko dito, ikaw yun, yung documentary daw nung ano. Yes, I haven't watched this one, Turning Point. I-search ko later on. Marami din ako nakita mga documentaries. Yung sinasabi ko kanina yung conspiracy theory, the Zeitgeist. Hindi ko sinasabing mga kapatid, baka yung idea ko is, ay, kaspikan timbaga ni Ma'am Haan. This is for my personal, education. So, I really watch, you know, if possible, both sides. Kung may third side pa, pwede kong panoorin para makita mo yung iba-ibang anggulo. So, but anyhow, yun. Sabi ng classmate ninyo, one of the documentaries daw nung 911 is Turning Point 911. Ayun. Baka sa manood ng mga ganun kapag may time din lang kayo tsaka may load din kayo or ayan, load ko na yung activity.Ag-uuray siguro dagi duman niya. Ayan, ang activity natin. Ayan. Yung activity niyo mga kapatid, it needs research. Number 1, you need to research on this. Wait, what happened? Why is my screen not? Uh-oh. Ayun. Nangyari. Tinakpan ko kasi yung activity na yun kasi yun yung But anyhow, yan. Move ko lang nga lang ako. Ayan. Okay. Nagkamali kasi ako nung tapos nung nakita ko, bakit nakanging activity 1? But anyhow, yan. Ito yung activity natin. Makinig kayo mga kapatid because medyo yung ibang sections is 3 beses nilang tinanong, ipaliwanag. 3 beses kong pinaliwanag yung ito. So, listen mga kapatid. This is your activity 3. Number 1, it needs research. Your own research. Ha? Hindi ibig sabihin to, kopya amlatan te research ti kadwam. I would know if you copied. Even if you are from different sections, I would know the answer. Okay? Ayan. So, kasi concrete yung magiging sagot nito. Hindi siya pwedeng pagbalik-balik ta rin. Concrete lang siya. Ayan. So, example nito is yung, what is happening with slide? Did I make it smaller a little bit? Wait lang. It's funny. Ayan. So, but anyhow, yung crimes natin, 8, I listed crimes. Theft, terrorism, drug-related, labor crimes, human rights, human trafficking, corruption, and money laundering. Makita yung siguro mga kapatid. Ayan. So, mamaya ko na i-address yung isang question ha. I-explain ko muna ito. 8 yung nakasulat na crimes. Ngayon, you need to research yung inyong activity, i-research ninyo. At ang sasagutan ninyo is ito, yung 3 nandito sa huli. Yung African countries, nakikita nyo? African countries, North American countries, tsaka South American countries. Kasi 6 to. Yung una, Asian, pangalawa, European, third, Pacific, and Oceania. Yan, di ba? Yan yung first, second, third. Ngayon, ang sasagutan ng Section DHL is the African countries, North American countries, and South American countries. Ano yung i-research? Number 1 crime, theft and robbery. Ayun. Punta kayo sa African countries, mag-research kayo. Jim. Research ninyo yung top 5 or top 8, 5 to 8 countries to ha. Ano yung 5 countries or top 5 countries ng Africa, sa Africa, na very rampant yung crime na theft or robbery. Ito comparison na ito ngayon mga kapatid, ha? Ulitin ko. Punta kayo sa, kasi hindi nyo gagawin yung 3 na unang continents. Yung gagawin nyo is African, North American, and South American. O ngayon, yung number 1 na crime natin is theft or robbery. Punta kayo sa African countries, mag-research kayo ano yung top 5 na countries na very rampant yung ating theft or robbery crimes. Like for example, number 1, South Africa. Because South Africa is a country in Africa, ha? Baka, ano nga South Africa? Bagbaganan ni ma'am. South Africa is a country within Africa. And then number 2, Sudan. Number 3, Zambia. Number 4, Zimbabwe. Parang ganun. Ayusin nyo yung pagkakaayos. Kung sino yung number 1 na pinakamaraming crime ng theft or robbery, yun yung nasa number 1. Okay? The same sa terrorism. The same sa labor crimes. Ganyan. O, punta naman tayo sa North America. Yung mga North American countries, ano yung mga yun? Alaska, Canada, ganon. Kukunti lang yung countries doon. So kapag halimbawa hindi ka umabot sa 5, okay lang din. But I think, aabot sa 5 pa rin yung ating mga countries. Ayun, South American countries, what are these? Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, the Caribbean. Ayan. So, i-research nyo ngayon kung ano yung mga countries na top 5 when it comes to this crime. Okay? Ilagay nyo lahat. Ayan. Okay. I will wait for questions regarding yung activity ninyo, ha? So, while I address yung ibang issues natin dito or ibang questions ng classmate niyo, issues talaga. Ibang questions ng classmates ninyo. Question. Bakit daw iba yung law natin at hindi pare-parehas? That is diversity. One of the, hindi ito yung reason ha, pero yung pagkakaiba-iba ng law natin is biodiversity. Alam mo yung reason kasi kailangan natin i-address specifically yung kapakanan ng iba't ibang bansa. Ayan. So for example, dito sa Philippines, illegal na maglakad kang nakahubad. Pero in one country, for example, in the United States, it's okay. Kasi iba-iba yung kultura natin. Kailangan nating i-address yung mga culture, yung mga practices ng iba't ibang bansa. That is called biodiversity. Ganon. Hindi pare-parehas yung laws natin or yung pag-a-address natin ng crime. O for example, sa Philippines, yung punishment natin sa rape is capital punishment, for example, or death. Pero sa ibang bansa, hindi naman. Kasi iba yung kultura nila sa ibang bansa kaysa sa atin. Diba? Mas, what do you call this? Mas conservative. For example, yung Philippines kaysa sa ibang bansa. Kaya iba yung approach natin, iba yung laws natin. Ganun. Ayan. So, sinasagot ko muna yung mga questions habang nag-aantay ako ng questions regarding this one activity. And then, partnership ng Philippines and China, that is so big to tackle. Political partnership, alam ba yun? Political partnership natin is okay naman because China supports the Philippines all throughout. Siyempre may mga hidden things dyan, pero hindi na natin i-discuss yan. Ayan, question. Mga kapatid, isang rules pa pala for this one is handwritten siya, mga kapatid. Hindi pa ako nagpapasubmit ng encoded kapag prelims. Lahat ng activities ng prelims is handwritten. Any clean sheet of paper, baka kuna man nga yellow paper, ay daman tayo mangibaga iti, mamabalin white paper or coupon ban. Any clean sheet of paper, basta nababasa ko yung output. When? So, it's handwritten, clean sheet of paper. And then, meron akong ilalagay na Dropbox talaga, na kung saan ninyo i-comment yung inyong mga, what do you call this? Outputs sa inyong mga respective FB groups. Gaya nung dati pa rin. Comment down here your activity 3, ganyan. Okay? Ano pa yung questions ninyo regarding our activities? You need to do a research. Okay? Hangkay nagkopya ko na nga, I will know if you copied or not. Naiinis ako sa mga nangungopya. Hindi naman all caps. Depende sa sulat ninyo yan. Depende sa sulat ninyo yan. Kapag masyadong maliliit yung sulat ninyo, pwedeng all caps. Ganun. Kasi adadagi tatao, di ba nga medyo babasit talaga sulat da. Yan. Di ko na mabasa. Ganun. Imagine mo na lang, tatlong section kayo, tapos 10 sa inyo yung ang liliit ng sulat, ida-download ko pa para kailangan kong i-enlarge. Waste of time, waste of energy. So dito pa lang, ayusin nyo na yung pagkakasulat. Ganun. Ayan, due date natin. Today is, what is today? Tuesday. Diyos ko, nawawala ako ng ano sa araw. Tuesday today. So, ang deadline natin is on Thursday. So, Section D, Section H is Tuesday, Thursday kayo, except Section L, which is Friday. Pero sasabay din kayo ha, taga Section L dito. So, yung due date natin for this one is on Thursday. Okay. I will post naman yung deadline natin, yung oras ng deadline. Pero Thursday ang deadline. Lahat yan pasagutin. Hindi, uniform ito, hindi lang Section H. Adin ko, Section D, Section H, and Section L. Parehas ang sasagutan ninyo. African countries, North American countries, and South American countries. Yung tatlong last na yon, sasagutan ninyong lahat. Section 2D, Section 2H, Section 2L. Ayan. Yes, adin ko, nakasave lang ito. Pag katapos ng ating live stream, balik lang kayo sa YouTube. Balik lang kayo sa link, meron to. Kasi nga yung iba, yung sometimes sinasabi ko yung mabagal ang internet, ganun, napuputol yung internet, pwede nilang balikan. Ulitak manan, kasano ka no? Eto'y kakabsat, activity 3, encoded, any sheet of paper, ayan. Encoded, handwritten, kunak kuma. Hanggang mabaling encoded handwritten, any sheet of paper. Ayan. So, dito yung crimes. 8 to ha, isulat nyo tong crimes. First table, ito, crimes. Yung 8 na crime. Ngayon, ang sasagutan lang ninyo is yung 3. Saang bansa? Dun sa African countries, meron yung theft and robbery rampant. Top 5 countries lang. Kung kaya nyo ng top 8, pwede naman. So, 5 to 8 countries ito. Depende sa research. Depende sa dami ng bansa. The same din sa North America. Anong yung top 5 countries ng North America na may theft and robbery? And also the same sa South America. Lahat ng crimes na to, titignan nyo sa mga continent na to. Okay? This is the start of our comparison. Iko-compare natin ngayon yung mga crimes. So, crimes muna yung iko-compare natin. Ganyan. Yes, mga kapatid, wag yung hintayin. Ito, this goes through hanggang finals. Wag yung hintayin yung deadline para ipasa yung mga activities ninyo. Nakikita nyo naman kaagad doon, di ba? Na comment down here your outputs. Due date ko na lang. Hanyo orayin tayo due date at nung mangipaspasa kayo. Kasi ada tayo duma. Halimbawa yung due date natin ngayon is 11 o'clock. Nagpasa siya 11:30. You know why? Kasi hinantay niya pa yung deadline. Tapos biglang nawala ng internet, nawala ng ilaw. O, di ba? Problema pa yun. So, pag natapos nyo na pasagad, ganun. Kahit anong activity yan, kahit hanggang finals yan, kapag natapos pa sa agad, pati sa exam. I mean, ugali ko kasi yun, mga kapatid. Hindi naman sa pang-aano ha, pero pag nag-exam kasi ako when I was in college, no need to review my exam. Pag tatapos ko pa sa agad, bahala na si Batman. Pero okay naman. Ganon. Kasi nga minuapan nyo ulit-ulitin nga subli-sublian halimbawa di exam. Agda-doubt kayo ngay, Parang, alakas lang nga kamali mo dyan sagot ko, sino ka tam? Namali ka tuloy. May mga ganun eh. Ayun. Board exam, pinagalitan ako ni Dean. Sigurado ka nga pumasa ka. Kasi 15 minutes lang namin yung exam noon. Kasi 100 items lang naman din yun. Kapag galing ka kasi sa school na sinanay ka na yung exam ninyo is 700 items, ano lang ba naman yung 100 items? But anyhow, examples lang yun. One, ipasa yun, numalpas yung mga aramid. Ano ba yung questions ninyo mga kapatid? Screenshot nyo screenshot nyo na. Screenshot kung kuna ka banking. Just ko ano ginawa ko dito sa image na to. I don't know what happened to this image. Oh, it's outside the borders, dude. Are you funny? Wait lang. See? Minsan hindi ako techie. Or talagang hindi ako techie. But anyhow. Yun. Kita na? I-screenshot yung mga kapatid. Yung gagawin ninyo. Huwag niyong gagawin yung Asian, European, tsaka Pacific and Oceania, ha? Hindi nyo activity yan. Yung tatlong last continents na tatlo. Awan damagin yung arudan. Habang agsasauna kayo, kakabsat kat ko, habang agsasauna kayo, kakabsat kat is screenshot nyo, tapos agururay na question. Numadi uray malasin or blurry, yan, i-click nyo lang yung tatlong dot dito sa inyong mga screen. Right upper ng inyong mga screen, may tatlong dot dyan. Yan. Increase nyo yung HD ng inyong mga screens para makita nyo. Screenshot nyo tapos i-enlarge na lang ninyo. Ayan. Ayan. Clear na daw sa iba. Yung iba, anong questions ninyo? O diba? Two-way pa rin yung communication natin kahit na hindi kayo nakakapagsalita. Ada pa questions nyo, kakabsan? Kawanan? Ayan. Pag gusto nyo panoorin ulit yung lecture mga kapatid, antay kayo ng around 10 to 15 minutes kasi nagpo-process pa siya sa aking live stream bago siya naka-record sa ating YouTube. Ganun. Awan damagin yung arulan kakabsat. I'll give you 30 seconds. Pag wala pa akong nakitang comment na or questions, halimbawa in 30 seconds, I assume everything is clear. Naniniwala daw ba ako sa sinasabi ni President? I don't believe in that. That's actually, sorry for the word ha, pero I hope you are matured enough to listen to this. Actually, sometimes what the President says is pure BS. Ayan. So, hindi ako naniniwala na walang corruption. Dito pa lang sa City of Baguio, dito pa lang sa barangay namin, nakikita ko nang may corruption. Hindi kasi siya pumupunta sa mga, hindi man low level, sa mas mababang level ng government, kaya hindi niya nakikita. Siguro, opisina na laang, presidential office laang, tiawan corruption, but it's not real. You and I, alam niyo yan. Hindi ko sinasabing may corruption si Governor Matthew ha. Pero merong corruption sa Ilocos Norte. Mabait naman si Governor. Lahat ng crime, ading ko, i-research ninyo. Lahat ng 8 na crime, i-research ninyo. Ganito yung pag-research ninyo. Punta kayo sa Google, o sabihin ko na nga sa Google. I-encode lang ninyo. Top 5 African countries with theft, with robbery crime, ganon. Tapos kukunin nyo yung top 5. Yung pinaka-latest mga kapatid ha, baka yung kukunin nyo naman is 1970s pa, hindi. Yung latest, 2020, 2021, ganon. I-research nyo lahat yan, hindi lang yung theft, kapatid. Yung 8 na crime. Ano pa yung questions? Nagtatagal na tayo. Sige, questions lang. Damag kayong... Ay, wait lang, lobat na yung aking laptop. Awan damagin nyo ang kakabsat. Mamigatak pa eh.
Joke lang. But anyhow, hindi pa ako nag-breakfast. But, naman questions pa kayo? Regarding this ha, related to this. Sa ibang students pa lang daw may nagaganap ng corruption. Oh, di ba? Sabi ko na, you and I both know that. So, hindi pwedeng walang corruption sa bansa. Fluke naman si President eh. Di ba, di na ilist yung total crimes ng mga nasabi? Ayan, good question. Hindi nyo na daw ba ililista yung mga total crimes? Hindi na. Or yung percentage, yung sinasabi nyo, hindi na. I just need the name of the top 5 countries. Kasi kapag nakita nyo yung top 5 countries, makikita nyo naman yung percentage eh. Di ba? Like for example, yung African countries, let's take for example, number 1 country ng may theft and robbery is South Africa, 80% halimbawa, or 85,000 crimes. Hindi nyo na ilalagay yung mga statistics. I just need the name of the countries. Ayan. So, good question. Ano pa? Naboboring yung iba, nag-live na. Yan sa mga wala nang itatanong. Halimbawa, wala naman akong further instructions. Unless kung may nakalimutan ako, wala na akong further instructions. So, yung mga nakaintindi na dyan, pwede naman na siguro mag-leave. Ganon. Or yung mga nabobore na dyan, pwede nang mag-leave sa ating broadcast. Balikan nyo na lang later. Kapag may hindi kayo naintindihan. Na-curious tuloy ako. Ibang students daw may corruption. Ayan. But anyhow, sa college din, may mga ganyan din naman kami. Awanin, damagin nyo, kakabsat. Ganyan kayo dapat lagi. Laging nakiki-interact. Nawang damagon yun. Han nga all caps ading ko. Unless nga ron nga kung nagbabasita surat mo, babalik nga i-all caps mo. Ang mga ibig sabihin nga konkat all caps. Basta naiintindihan ko yung sulat. Handwritten, please. Ayan, nawang damagon yung orgot la. Good day. Thank you for joining this one. Hindi ito pwedeng gawin ng ibang sections dyan. Ulitin ko na nakapag-join dito sa discussion. This is exclusive for section 2D, 2H, and 2L only. Okay? Due date natin, Thursday. Lalagay ko na sa ating mga FB group. Yan. So, thank you. Thank you also for joining our discussion. That's it for today. Keep safe, mga kapatid. At nag-GCQ ulit ang parts ng Ilocos Norte. Yan. So, but anyhow, good day, everyone. Thank you for joining this discussion and see you sa ating next na offline discussions. Ayun. God bless everyone. What is that? What are you